We're going to get jumping into a season review for the bottom 6 sides in the AFL this season. So we're going to be starting off with West Coast and making our way down to Port Adelaide. Of course, if you like what you see here today, leave a like, subscribe. What are we going to talk about to start with for West Coast? Because there's not all that much to talk about in terms of positivity.
No.
The highs you can really go for is an occasional individual performance. So Tom McCarthy, I think, is one that immediately comes to mind because as soon as he came in, immediately stuck out like a sore thumb compared to the rest of the talent.
Yep. I think a good point to start is with their off-season additions. So in came Liam Baker and Jack Graham as one free agent signing in Graham. They did make a couple draft choices with trading out a pick for Liam Baker, which they got through a trade with also Matthew Owies, which they brought in trading out pick 3.
Which is crazy kind of looking back
crazy.
at it.
Yeah. So to start the season, it sort of wasn't great. They were able to draft in Bo Allen, who I'm pretty high on as well. Probably the best WA talent of last year's crop, and they were able to get him. I think it would have been a bit risky to take another, like Victorian, let's say, as an example, last year, given they're so good. But I think, listen, positivities, it's really hard to come back. When your co-captain is leaving, you've had like 3 retirees throughout the season who were from your premiership team.
It's not a season of positives, that's certainly for sure.
No.
But if we're looking at like okay performances, the Liam Baker addition wasn't too bad.
He was
Harley
one who really
Reid
stood out.
had flashes.
Mm-hmm.
Archer Reid wasn't too bad either. And another Joe Shanahan I thought did okay at times.
In the back end of the year, he showed some real promise as a forward, an athletic leaper who can just hit the scoreboard and in a dog shit team too, which is pretty impressive. So
the only other, Tom McCarthy was the other one, a really nice mid-season pickup, which is great for them.
Yeah. So and you look at like key back stocks for the upcoming season. It's Harry Edwards, it's Sandy Brock, who's been there. Ruben Gintries has to be moved from a midfielder to
into a backman. Yeah.
Like there's just not a lot there given the retirements of Shannon Hearn and Jeremy McGovern in recent years, and also Tom Barrass's departure.
And Dom Sheed leaving too. Obviously, he's not one of their major backmen or major players at that time of his career, but at the same time, it's more of a mental and I guess ceremonial exit of what made them so great in 2018. So it definitely hurts this season for West Coast fans.
And in general for them, like it was obviously Andrew McWalter's first year in charge. There was no expectations to do anything.
But then again, you're not happy with one win.
Correct.
He did make it very blunt at times that he was not happy with what was going on. So at least he isn't trying to sell a falsehood or convince anyone that they're playing really decent football. No, he was very aware that they were below the standard, and the best example was their first quarter against Carlton. I think in the third quarter of the season, they played horrendous. It was like the players were scared to get into contests, and McWalter was as blunt as possible at the quarter-time break with one of the reporters. He had just mentioned, that was awful. That was deplorable. The effort was awful, and he was done. So he's very straight to the point from what it looks like, and it's hard to be anything else than that this season.
And then sort of upcoming for them in the off-season for 2025, both in the draft and in the trade and free agency stuff, it does appear that they look to be getting some external improvements. Brandon Starcevic looks to be coming in, who is a very good lockdown defender and will certainly shore up that spot. I think he's a really good pickup. There are some concerns, obviously, with his health, which is going to be a bit hard to work around.
That's my big thing with him. Is he going to be clear to play consistent football with the fact that he's so injury prone? Just unfortunately, it could be another McGovern situation, which is awful to say out loud, but he's had a few head knocks, including the most recent grand final, that makes you worry. I hope he's okay to play.
Yeah. But, I mean, aside from that, they're potentially looking at Finlay McRae as a pickup. Devon Robertson has gone to them, but Campbell Chess is one who's leaving. Liam Ryan is one who's leaving as well. So I'd say that's an overall improvement, however, but not by anything crazy. But then you look at the draft, they've got a really good hand. They should have pick 1 and 2, assuming Oscar Allen gets them band 2 compensation. They've got pick 16, which ended up being Hawthorn's first round pick. And then they've also got a assistance package in the first round and in the second round. So overall, a very strong hand. There are rumours that could potentially trade back pick 2. I wouldn't be surprised if they do that and try get, let's say, Essendon's pick 6 and 7 at the moment.
That would be very good, I reckon. Shut up. You do it every time. I hate it.
It was on purpose.
But the good thing about that, and I really like that type of scenario where they have Harley Reid, who's just, oh my God, resigned. And he was their previous pick 1.
Yeah.
They're going to bring in another pick 1. So the talent is undeniable. It's going to be at least at some point. And if they turn 2 into 6 and 7, or if they keep 2, they're still going to have a lot of talent to work with. And I think that can only spell positive things for them. And hopefully, sooner rather than later, we'll see them off the bottom of the ladder.
Yeah, it seems that they're pretty much taking Willem Dersman with pick 1, whether they go with a tall like CDT or whether they go with someone like an in and under midfielder. Sullivan Roby's been one who's bolting up. They could potentially go for. And then I think someone that they need to target is Jacob Farrow. With that second Hawthorn first round pick, they might need to trade that up to move in to be able to get him because he could very well be gone. I wouldn't be surprised if they do that though, because he's a really good West Australian talent. Can play half back and can also develop into a midfielder. I think he's got a really high talent. But overall for West Coast, not a good season whatsoever.
We've graded it before. You gave him an F.
Yeah, nothing else you can give.
Nothing you can really say other than that. And we move on to a bit more of a positive season despite results. Richmond, where you got a little bit of blowback in terms of how we graded. Oh, I mean, I probably did. But in terms of grading their season, I gave them about a C, and you were close to an A. You were a B+, which is a very standard way or a very basic way of pointing out how their season went. But I want to ask you, in terms of the players themselves, do you think they played at a good level this season?
I think I was kind of surprised with some of their experienced players. A lot of them had injuries. I think that's just put out there right now. Like Tom Lynch had some injuries. Jaden Short had some injuries. Even some of the younger players. Yeah, Sam Lawler had really bad hamstring injury.
Can you believe he did not get a single Rising Star vote?
Don't blame him. Like, he didn't even play 10 games, I don't think. So
he could be. Does that mean he's available for this next one?
Could well be. Yeah. I don't know if he did play 10 games or not.
If he played less than 10, then he can be Rising Star this next season.
Correct.
That'd be crazy.
But I think, for the most part, you look at it overall, Nick Vlosten had a great season. Nathan Broad was pretty good. You had the stuff with Noel Bolter.
That's a big negative.
Yep. But, I mean, if expectation was 1 win and you got 5, it's pretty good for the most part.
Yeah, it's a fantastic result. I think people get too hung up on that, though. I think, sure, 5 is much better than 1, but 5 is not... it's not... There's no way you can argue that's an A. 5 wins is not an A season. If North had you gave it a B+, but there were people who were coming at me saying, how is it not an A+ season? It's like, you have 5 wins! You have 5 wins! I get where people are coming from in the sense that no one expected it. People thought they'd go winless. Yeah, that's all good and well. But you're second last. You finish with that many wins.
You're having a mare today.
I know. Your team statistically was dominated almost every single time they lost.
Yep.
Oh my God. Maybe this is the world telling me to stop getting so angry about this topic. I don't know. But
you're going insane.
There's just... it's not going to stop anytime soon. That's what my body does. I'm sorry, guys. I'm not made to be a podcaster, clearly. But in terms of the general players, I don't think they were up to scruff. And that's not even a bad thing. Most of them are first year, second year, third year players. Help me!
I just stopped laughing.
Help me!
You're like a big baby. You need to be.
I know. The players themselves were not up to scruff when compared to the rest of the league. I liked a lot of what some of them did. I think some standouts were Maurice Rioli. He showed so many great... Maurice Rioli, sorry. He showed a lot of great signs this year.
King Julian.
He took a step, which was great. I don't know why it's still happening. Luke Traynor looks a little better and better every week. And then in your forward line, I liked Jonty Fall.
Yeah, Jonty Fall looked pretty decent at times. I mean, all they need to do is sit back, develop, trade away an older player every year and see what you can get back for him. I mean, they've got, in terms of upcoming this off season, they don't really have anyone coming in. Tyler Young has requested a trade to West Coast, which, I mean, in and out, but like not really too big of a deal. But otherwise, like they've got picks 3 and 4 after the Allen compensation. I wouldn't be surprised if they're one of the teams who trade back, potentially to get, let's say, pick, I don't know, 9 and 13 as just an example.
Yeah.
And try and just sort of round out that rather than just going for the top end talent, because that seems with last year's draft they really tried to do that. But for them, they're in a really good position, and I don't think there's anything you can question with what they're doing anymore.
They're so on the right track. They are on the right track, is what absolutely. The main thing is to talk about these guys, in that they're definitely ahead of the curve, 100%. If that was your argument in terms of how you would go about their season, I'm trying so hard not to. It keeps happening.
You just need to do one big burp.
I know. The problem is, bit of an off-topic discussion here. I don't know how to burp.
What?
I don't know how to do it on command. I don't know how to do it on command. It's just something I never learned properly.
I can do it so easily.
Do not do it now. But, yeah, their season, good in terms of where they're expected to be, but not great generally. You just can't say that they had a great season, because you cannot say someone who finished second last had a great season.
I'll agree to disagree. But North Melbourne, your boys, finished 16th. Your expectation was a fair bit higher. My expectation was pretty much slightly...
Yours was still higher.
Yeah.
We expected these guys to take a little bit of a leap. They brought in a bit more talent. We thought that the younger guys would get a bit better, and there were some signs of that. Paul Curtis is the biggest example. Colby McKercher was also pretty good too. There were some that fell off the boat. I think Wardlaw was hampered by injuries a lot this season.
Big time.
Larkey was too. Larkey had a lot of times where he couldn't step up purely due to injury. There were some real stinkers. I think Caleb Daniel, and I literally heard it from round one. Someone next to me, because they played the Dogs, someone next to me goes, they're going to realise really quickly how bad Caleb Daniel is. And I'm like, shut up, mate. You don't know what you're talking about. I found out pretty quickly.
Turns out he does know what he's talking about.
He is just a matchup nightmare. And North's defense is already poor as it is. So any time that they were caught out of structure, out of line, Daniel would just get exposed every single time. And then for some reason, towards the end of the season, Zach Bench was their answer. He's the same size as Daniel, but he's got a lot more athleticism.
Yeah.
He somehow took a potential Mark of the Year candidate, which shows you this like the height of Mark of the Year this year. But North Melbourne's general vibe that I'm getting from them at the moment is that they're building, but really bloody slowly, and but what's going to stop them from getting to the finals in the near future is their lack of backman talent. We need Xavier Taylor. Have to find a way to get Xavier Taylor. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. He is the only one in the top 30 who plays a role or fits the role that we need in this draft.
That isn't eligible for a father-son or academy player.
Exactly, because Harry Dean is the other one that I'd talked to you about before that I'm frustrated North can't get. But Xavier Taylor is 191 centimetres tall, a key defender himself. The reason I believe he's marked lower is because Harry Dean has a fantastic marking ability. I believe they call him the teacher because he marks everything. That's literally what it said on Cal Toomey's Phantom Guide.
Well, I really don't care about that, but yeah, I see sort of Xavier Taylor being that sort of Braden Maynard type, whereas Harry Dean's probably more of your third tall, not necessarily that sort of fourth who can play versatile.
And if we could turn, and this is talking way in the future for something that's not even guaranteed, if we could turn Xavier Taylor or someone like Xavier Taylor into a backline general, that would be so helpful, so good for this team, because it really doesn't feel like they do. The closest they've got is Charlie Comben, and Charlie Comben is still very...
He's raw as a defender.
Yeah,
he wasn't drafted
raw
as
probably the best. Raw is probably the best way of describing it, because while he's got so much talent, he has a fantastic marking ability and throws himself at every pack. He is injury prone. He is a little bit... The nicest word I can think of right now is dumb, because he can make some decisions that definitely have you scratching your head. But I just feel like he would be better under a mentor, hence why I wanted North to bring in a solid defender. Braden Maynard, if that attempt went through, I think we would have had a much more positive outlook on next season. But
I also think that in regards to that, you should still target someone senior. Could be a Jordan Butch from Adelaide, could be a James Blank from Hawthorn, could be a Stephen May from Melbourne if
Absolutely.
he still isn't able to find a home. I just think you need to find a short-term answer to that because it just ruins everything that you're trying to build. Completely ruins it. But in terms of upcoming in this off-season, your draft hand, you've got 2 early second-round picks. You don't have a first-round pick. I wouldn't be surprised if you trade up. I really wouldn't. Gold Coast have a couple first-round picks.
That's why I'm saying we've got to find a way to get Xavier Taylor because I think they will turn those 2 picks into a first, which would have been so much nice if we just had a first and a second. But apparently Whitlock was that important to us.
Yep.
The hope is that we can... He is the like, put it on the magnet board for me. Like, he put his name on the whiteboard, circle it multiple times. Xavier Taylor, I want that guy. So, for his sake, I hope he doesn't flop. He's probably put in one of the worst scenarios to be in terms of an up-and-coming backman. So, some back structure with some experience would be helpful. But, upcoming, it's not looking good unless we can improve that back line. Everything else, I'm actually really excited about.
And you brought in Charlie Spargo, but yay.
I think he's just depth for an area we don't need to worry about. I think we've got plenty of forwards that we can work with at the moment.
No one else really coming through. But, North Melbourne, all right season. Not what you wanted, though.
Out of the bottom 2 for the first time in ages.
Yay.
So you're in the bottom 3, though.
Essendon, also bottom 4.
Yes.
Dog shit year.
Awful year. Really, really tough year. Injuries, I'd like to say, probably came to most of the forefront when talking about it earlier on. Sorry. But now with the Zach Merritt stuff, who had played pretty well for them all season, but you could tell he got frustrated. It's just not the scenario you want to be in, even if you're the captain, just as a regular player, where you're a regular best 23 player having to play with a new kid every single week. It's so hard to get yourself excited to see what you're building when you're basically rebuilding every single week. You're getting something new every single week.
I mean, having the most debutants in AFL history is insane. And we try and speak about some of the standout players or most improved players. There's no one to talk about because they all got injured.
I actually think one of their best moves is getting rid of Jaden Laverde. Yeah, I think Jaden Laverde was quite poor this year.
And he's gone off to GWS.
Yeah. Him and Ben Mackay, I think, were just... They don't have the skills well enough to really lead a back line.
No. I mean, Zach Reid, I think, is a really important piece, and at least he was able to get some time on the park this year.
Yeah.
And where he was able to show something, which is good. Aside from that, Nate Caddy looked all right as a
Caddy
forward.
was so either on or off.
Yeah.
That Richmond game was the worst game I've seen from him ever. Same goes with him and Kako. Kako was poor that game. That was a game they should have taken if they didn't want this massive losing streak.
Yeah, first year and second year players.
You can't expect the world from them, but you'd hope that they can calm themselves down. That was such a showing to me that they're just not... They don't have the support cast in to help them out just yet. Or they're not being guided properly. Their coaching... I'm not going to put it on Brad Scott in particular because I think Brad Scott's had it hard enough as it is. But in terms of the development coaching, sometimes I look at what they're doing and I go, there's something there, but you're not cracking into it yet. It's just not there yet. So I'm wondering what it's going to take for them to get to that point. It's interesting because Daniel Giansiracusa, who's gotten loads and loads of praise, has been one of their, I believe, assistant coaches? Yeah. So... And he's had nothing but praise. Hawthorn managed to poach him. So, clearly he's sought after. But I'm wondering, what's going on with these guys? I really thought Kako was going to have a great year and had the opportunity to explode. He is just a prime candidate of a spark plug player. He just couldn't provide any spark towards the second half of the season. And so I'm not going to say that it's time to criticise them heavily, nor Nate Caddy, because they're still incredibly young, but... just makes me think, what kind of path are we going to see them take? Because I'm not excited to see where it goes.
Yeah, and when you're losing your best player in Zach Merritt, your 6-time best and fairest winner, completely decreases any value for next year. Nick Martin's not going to be playing next year. It leads into the off-season this year where you're losing Sam Draper as well. I mean, you got picks, would be 4 and 5 5 and 6.
There is
sorry.
no way Todd Goldstein should be anyone's regular ruckman at this point in time. There's just no
exactly.
way.
And Nick Bryant's coming off an ACL of his own. You got pick 5 and 6. You're going to have Sandro.
You're going to pray to God that Cooper Duff-Tytler falls down the board.
Yeah, you need someone tall because otherwise you got no one. And then you're going to hope whatever you get for merit, it leaves you with probably 3 first-round picks in this year's draft. The last time you had 3 first-round picks in the draft, you basically fucked them all. So if you're Essendon...
Who was it? It was Nick Cox.
It was Archie Perkins and Zach Reid.
Zach Reid is a bit of a half hit at the moment. He's still working it out.
He's played less than 30 games in his career. He's had 5 seasons.
I get that. But Nick Cox has played more than that, and he's just about done.
Yeah. But, like, for Essendon, there's just nothing really to say.
In terms of
I like that.
There's nothing to say in terms of upcoming.
Yeah, pretty much. We don't know what is upcoming.
It's just hope that you can keep afloat, really. Yeah. It's really just that.
Well, a team who is also trying to keep afloat right now is Melbourne.
Oh, my God. This is like the worst back-to-back you could possibly think of. Probably the 2 worst seasons of the year.
Yep.
For, like, a full year perspective. And it goes even further, I think, for Melbourne. Because Melbourne, sure, they're also losing a superstar player, but they're losing basically their entire core. Mm-hmm. The premiership team.
Aiden Core?
No, don't bring him up, please. Actually, no, I take that back. Aiden Core has gotten a lot better since I last shit on him. I used to really not like Aiden Core, but he showed better signs this year, which was good. But
muzzle tough.
Still, you're playing for the North Melbourne backline. You're not getting too much praise. But we're talking about Melbourne here. We don't care about North Melbourne anymore.
Okay.
Melbourne. Players that stood out the most for me this year.
Mm-hmm.
Harvey Langford. Biggest bright spot of the year.
Cozzy Pickett.
Cozzy Pickett too. Maybe a tie. Because I think Harvey Langford is really something that they're going to invest in heavy. Much like Cozzy. But Harvey has a bit more height to him. Looks like he could build into a body that really starts wrecking midfields and becomes a midfield ball. He's just a very exciting player. I think Melbourne hit that one out of the park.
Yeah.
And he's now going to have the opportunity to do even more. Same goes with Trent Rivers with the main midfield core kind of leaving out. Another one, Cade Chandler, I thought did okay. Had a good start to the season.
Definitely.
Yeah. And then Fritsch came to his own a little bit towards the back end of the season.
I literally, for next year, the one thing, I will not watch a Melbourne game if Harrison Pletty starts in the forward line ever again.
Yeah, I remember you saying stuff about him.
And I really hope every single Melbourne fan agrees with me because he had one game against Richmond in 2023, I want to say, where he kicked 6 goals against Richmond.
And they just saw him as the forward of the future.
They rejected almost 2 first-round picks from Adelaide for him.
Oh, my God. I did not know that. That's so funny.
It was a base of a first-round pick. Adelaide didn't want to give up 2. Melbourne said, give us 2. That's where the deal fell apart. Even 1 first-round pick now.
For Harrison Petty?
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
You wouldn't get 1 first-round pick for Harrison Petty right now.
No, you definitely wouldn't. No way. I refuse to believe Northwood. I refuse to believe that there is a team out there that would give Melbourne
Charlie
a first-round pick.
Comben.
Shut up. Stop it. Stop it right now. I want you to stop right there.
It'd work.
But in general play terms, there were so many lowlights. The one quote that always pops out to me is Max Gawn on radio going, "We've forgotten how to win."
Bloody Nasiah, hey.
Simon Goodwin. Lots of quotables from Melbourne this year, but not for good reasons.
No.
I think he was spot on with that assessment because he just saw it over and over and over again.
Biggest 3/4 time deficit overcame of all time.
They just could not. The only one I saw them do it was against Brisbane at the Gabba.
Yeah.
For some reason.
Yeah. And they were the premiers. And then they lost to GWS in the first round with a kick with a minute and a half left. They couldn't beat Collingwood twice with games under a goal.
Yep. So they had opportunities, but as Max Gawn said, they forgot how to win. They just did not know how to stick to it in crunch time. And it's really unfortunate because I think this season could have looked a lot different. I had said on the record to start the season, it was boom or bust for these guys, and it has turned into the biggest bust that the year has had to offer. Maybe Essendon fights them for it, but Melbourne have lost everything, it feels like. They've lost Petrarca. They're going to lose Oliver. They're going to lose
Spargo.
Big guy.
Judd McVeigh.
Judd McVeigh, Stephen May, if they can. It made me think, how did they convince Cozzy to re-sign?
I know, and they still don't have a CEO. They still don't have a president aside from Brad Green, who I don't know if is even.
It's a lot of interims, is what. Yeah.
Like they hired a coach 2 weeks ago. They've got nothing.
Shout out Stephen King.
So they don't have a first round pick this year. They will get stuff for Petrarca. They'll probably get stuff for Oliver. They'll get something for McVeigh. So they could end up with like 3 first-round picks from that.
Which isn't too bad, but you'd much rather have what you have so you could have convinced these guys, hey, we can still grow. Look at Harvey Langford. Look, we can pick well.
And by the time any of those deals get through and the picks end up happening with potentially pick 6 from St Kilda for the Flanders deal originally, I wouldn't be surprised if that gets pushed back to out of the top 10 anyway. So you're not going to have a top 10 pick in this year's draft after finishing 5th last.
I've talked about it before on a personal channel. They were 1 year too late for this rebuild.
Mm-hmm.
They should have done it last year. This team
big time
waited 1 year too long, and it's cost them dearly, I think. I think they could have gotten a lot more.
A team that really did take 1 year too long to make a decision, though.
Oh, my God.
Was Port Adelaide.
Yeah, that's a very good point.
Situation.
He looked so... I remember an interview on Footy Classified. He looked so much more relaxed. Once he was out, he looked so much happier. Look, the only reason I look back on the year in a bit more of a positive light is that final game. Just the planets aligned for that game to happen, where Boak and Hinkley went out on a win against the top 8 side. But if you're talking about the entire year and the players themselves, a lot of injuries broke down a lot of their key position players. I think one of their only positives was Mitch Georgiades. There are a few players who didn't get too many opportunities elsewhere who rose a little bit. Liddy, I think, is one who I thought was pretty decent. He showed a lot of heart and I think has some decent skills. Not fantastic. He's prone to a mess up, but as all players who are just getting started in the league are, they're prone to it. I think there's like signs of life here. They just need health, luck, and probably a better backline. Zerk Thatcher and Radigalea are 2 names that are very, very tough to rely on regularly. And then, who's their key? There's a key backman I'm forgetting. Alira, that's it. He is perpetually one of the most underrated backmen in the league. What?
We went through last week. The most underrated player that I had talked about, my 3rd most underrated player, was Leah Ilia.
Mm-hmm.
And you've just stolen that from me.
Oh, yeah, I did.
Like you said.
It's giving you Josh Worrell flashbacks, isn't it? But, I mean, all that says is that you were further right in the sense that he is a very impactful player.
Yeah, but you're just stealing it from me, man.
I genuinely forgot that you had said that last week, but when you brought it up, I remembered. It's more the sense that Alir never gets the headlines.
Never gets the help.
The help.
He's playing with the 2 biggest spuds I've ever seen with my own 2 eyes, aside from Harrison Petty and Anthony Caminiti. Yeah, maybe Griffin Logue too.
Yeah, I'll give you that. But Alir, he almost he's made an All-Australian team before, has he not?
Yeah. Okay,
so because I was going to say if he hadn't, he could go down as one of the best people or best players to never win an AA spot or never receive an AA spot. But yeah, there's just that one bloke in there mixed in with a bunch of struggling guys who are trying to figure themselves out in some kind of way. And the biggest stat that confused me about them this year, with all the talent they have in the midfield, the worst disposal efficiency, I think it was, or worst skill level.
That's wild.
Number 18.
That's wild. When you've got a team that won 1 game, that's wild.
Exactly. So I thought, how the hell did you do that? So there's big question marks that they could fix up with Josh Carr. It's just going to be interesting to see what they'll do this year because, 2025 was such a off year, was such a nothing year for Port Adelaide.
100%. And I mean, there's just nothing to take out. Like, as you said, defensively, aside from Lucky Jones, I don't think there was a genuine winner. Aside, literally tried his best, but nothing really there. And then up forward, aside from Georgiades, Jack Lukosius couldn't do anything. Todd Marshall tore his Achilles. Ollie Lord couldn't stay on the park. Jeremy Finlayson, you just delisted. And then in the midfield, Butters missed some time. Rosie had to get moved to halfback.
And he also missed some time.
Yeah, Jason Francis wasn't really there. Boak and Drew and Wines are all basically duds at this stage. Like, what are you taking out of this year if you're Port Adelaide? I don't know. I really don't know. And you don't have a first round pick this year.
You gave your pick to Gold Coast as well.
So, like, for them...
Willie Rioli retired and he had a crazy season himself as well.
Like, you don't get anything of value in return for Danny Houston, and you give up a first round pick for Jack Lukosius.
2 trades that may determine the trajectory of the club for the next couple of years.
And Zach Butters just basically said 4 weeks with left in the season, I want to get out of here. You are left in a completely horrible position on all fronts.
Adelaide and Port have completely flipped scripts.
Yeah.
They have basically taken each other's roles. So it's a very crazy scenario. I think upcoming, it's another one of those, you have to pray that what you've got will get you through another year, and then with the picks that you've got in the next season, if you can bring a bit more in as well with the Zach Butters trade, if it happens, you hope that that can mean that next year actually means something.
Yeah.
Because it feels like 2026 is going to be another nothing year. It's just going to be Josh Carr learning the ropes.
How many times does a first-year coach ever do something?
Dean Cox is your best example.
Yeah. Like, it really just doesn't happen. So for them, nothing happened in the draft this year. No one aside from Jacob Ware and Will Brodie are really coming to you in the off-season, and you're potentially losing your best player in Zach Butters. Not great.
Yep.
At all. So
hope you can find some gems in 2026 and pray that the 2026 off-season and 2027 season are a bit better, because I don't think Port are rising anytime soon.
No.
So that is all 6 of the bottom 6 teams. It wasn't very positive. I think Richmond was the only positive team that we went through, which was quite funny. But overall, we're going to go through some more positive outlooks in the next 6 that we do next week. So I appreciate you guys tuning in once again. Hopefully you enjoyed. Leave a like if you did. Subscribe. Follow us on all our socials. And I'll see you all in the next one. Cheers.